Hi friends, my name is Ali. If you're new here, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. Thank you for being here. I love and appreciate you. It is the end of December. As I'm recording this, New Year's is tomorrow, which is insane. Genuinely, I feel like this month, oh, yeah, but also this year, I feel like genuinely went by so fast. I'm never a person that's like, oh, the year went, but it usually feels like, yeah, the year happened. This year didn't feel like it happened. I feel like New Year's was 6 months ago and it just happened. So I ended up reading in total 11 books this month to meet my minimum Goodreads goal of 150 books. So let's talk about the 11 books that I read in the month of December. A lot of them were on Kindle. I had a very slow work week because it was the end of the year and nothing was really going on. So I read and listened to a lot of books between Kindle and audio at work. The first book that I read on my Kindle was Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This book was super hyped up. Everybody wanted to read it. I love Lauren Asher and I love her books. I ended up 4-starring this. A lot of people 5-starred this book, and it wasn't a 5-star for me. I didn't like Nico, the main character, that much. I thought he was just kind of like average. I feel like I've read a lot of male book love interests that were like light years ahead of where he was. I feel like he was kind of like a bare minimum character. He didn't wow me with how he won her back. Felt like the whole book he didn't deserve her and he shouldn't have won her back. She should have not been with him. It was a good story. I liked kind of the whole HGTV of it all, of redesigning houses and all that. I wasn't the biggest fan of the characters, but I still liked it and I love her books and I still 4-starred it. But yeah, if you don't know anything about it, two main love interests were like academic rivals growing up and throughout their entire lives. Our male love interest is like a billionaire house developer, and our female love interest has her own like interior design company and like had a TV show. She and her former fiance broke up. They had a TV show together. She moves back home to like get out of the spotlight and everything and runs back into the male love interest of her childhood rival guy. There is a reason that she doesn't like him anymore. He has hurt her in the past and trying to figure out that whole backstory. They end up deciding to flip a house together, so they're kind of like forced proximity with work, and it goes from there. He is obviously still in love with her since forever. It's very obvious when they first meet each other. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he kind of didn't deserve her. And I've read about other book love interests that I just liked better than him. But it was still good, and I still recommend it. Check it out if you haven't read it yet. I then started reading some Christmas books. A lot of them I talked about in video I put up a couple weeks ago of all of like my Christmas holiday book recommendations. So I'm not going to go into super big depth about them. I feel like I talked about them a lot more in that video. So go check that one out if you want a little bit more info. But I read Big Nick Energy, which I ended up giving 3 stars. It was kind of mid. It was good. It was a book. I read it. It wasn't anything like brand new. It was an interesting way that the love interests met. Our female love interest ended up going on a date with the male love interest son. Then the son was like, I don't like you, but you know who would? My dad. And that's how they met. So like that was interesting. It's single parent romance, which I love. It just wasn't my favorite. It wasn't anything brand new, but I read it and it was Christmassy and it was good. Again, I talk about a few of these more in depth in my Christmas specific video. Then I read The Mistletoe Bet, which again I 3-starred. It was just a Christmas book. Another Christmas romance of somebody that likes Christmas and somebody doesn't, and then falling in love. I don't really know what else to say other than that. I then took a bit of a break from the Christmas books and I read Bad Blood, the last book in the Natural series. I 3-starred it. The first 2 books were my favorite. The last 2 were good. A 3-star is still a good book. It just wasn't anything groundbreaking, extravagant. This is a combination of the last book and the like spin-off one. It's like called 12. So I technically read both of those. It's just combined into one book. Epilogue book, standalone thingy is what made me like this less. I feel like the epilogue didn't need to happen. It's not like in the epilogue you found out all these new things that happened to the characters. They were just kind of like there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in terms of epilogues, it wasn't needed. But, like, I liked the ending of it, and it was still good. If you don't know anything about the Natural series, it's a 4-book YA thriller series. A lot of people have recommended it to people that are fans of, like, Criminal Minds. I personally think that if you're someone that liked the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson, that you would like this. These seem, like, really similar in probably book reading audience. If you liked the Natural series and you haven't read the Truly Devious series, check it out. I honestly like it a little bit better. It's more mystery than it is like Criminal Mindsy, but it's still really good. So yeah, if you liked the Naturals, read this. Naturals, YA, thriller, true crime-y. It's a bunch of kids with natural enhanced abilities that help the FBI solve a bunch of cold cases. They solve a different one every book, and then there is one overarching that starts in the beginning and ends in the last book, which was pretty interesting. Like, this one kept me on my toes, but I don't know, I just liked the first book better, I guess. I don't know. I then read The Christmas Fix. This was a super popular Christmas book. I feel like a lot of people were going out to read it, and I 3-starred it. Again, it was just kind of a book that happened. It was, not that it's like dark, but it was a lot more like real world heavy than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be just another like fixer-upper flipper house romance. Our main female character has like, again, like another HGTV show, and she goes to fix up this town that has been completely destroyed by a hurricane. So like you're hearing about all the hardships that people in the town are going through, and it's like kind of deep, and like it was not what I was expecting. I think if I went into the book knowing that it kind of had some like deeper things to it, I would have felt a little bit more prepared for that. But I was reading this and I was kind of like, oh, cabin mate is forced proximity, fake dating. That's it. It's those tropes, but make it Christmas. Yeah. And then my last Christmassy book, I read A Winter in New York. I got this in my book of the month this year because I live in New York, and it was a Christmas book, so I had to legally buy it. I 3-starred it, like most of my other Christmas books. Our main female lead, she moves to New York to kind of follow in her mom's footsteps. Her mom has recently passed away, and she's kind of doing it as like a getaway and like becoming closer to her and whatever. And while going through her mom's stuff, she finds this recipe for gelato, which happens to be the family gelato recipe of the main love interest, who runs like this uber famous best gelato spot in New York. Apparently the whole family history is like only one person knows the recipe, and like super secret. So she's like, why does my mom know your family recipe? Like, I have never heard of your family before. How does my mom know your family? How are we all connected? And they kind of like form a romance while finding out kind of like this family mystery history. So like it was a unique storyline. I felt like it almost made the romance like a back burner subplot, which is fine. For as short as the book was, I felt like there was a lot more of like the family history than there was the romance, and I just wanted more romance. I then read Check-in Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I loved this book. I 4-starred it. I don't know what Ali Hazelwood puts in her books, but they are just like crack to me. This one was so good. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel going into this because this is her first, like, YA book. It doesn't have the spice that a lot of her other books do, like Love on the Brain and Love Hypothesis. A lot of those have, like, fairly heavy spice. This is YA, so there isn't spice. Any spice is just the typical, like, closed door thing that are in most YA books. And I haven't read a YA book in forever. I'm 24, so I don't always like to read books with characters that are, like, 18. Our main characters in these are like 19 and 21, I think. But this was so cute. And I know nothing about chess. I could maybe name 3 or 4 chess pieces, but I couldn't tell you the first thing about playing a game of chess. I know 0 about it. So I was like, I don't know, I'm gonna find this book really bleh because it's YA and it's chess. But I loved it. I was like squealing and kicking my feet. It was so freaking cute. I have no notes. I loved it. I don't know what it was that didn't make it a 5-star. If it was new adult and like adult characters and had more spice to it, I think it would have been a 5-star. But genuinely, I was expecting so little from this and I got so much. This book follows Mallory, who is our main female lead, is kind of in a hard family situation. Her mom has a chronic illness, and so she's kind of taken in the role of mom. She is taking care of her 2 younger sisters. She is working 2 or 3 different jobs to help pay medical bills and her sister's clubs and stuff she wants to do. She's really put herself on the back burner. She was kind of like a chess prodigy. Her dad taught her how to play chess and she was super into it. There is some weird history with her and her dad. Her dad is no longer in the picture, and they're trying to figure out that situation. She gave up chess to help take care of her parents. She accidentally beats the world's top chess master, Nolan, at a just random chess competition, and is offered a scholarship to basically professionally play chess, and it is a love interest between her and Nolan, a little bit of an enemies to lovers, but like light enemies, kind of just like disagreement to lovers. It's the big thing of like, why doesn't she want to play chess anymore when she's naturally really good at it? But I loved the romance. I love Nolan, and I don't know, this book was just so good. Was not disappointed by this in any way. So yeah, if you haven't read this yet, if you haven't read a lot of Ali Hazelwood because you don't like spice, then read this one because this one doesn't have the spice aspect to it. I think it's a good place to start with her books if you haven't started them at all. But yeah, just read any of them. Ali Hazelwood, so far, is not missed for me. I love her. I then read Hopeless, the last book in, I think it's supposed to be the last book? I don't know. Every time I think it's the last book, it's not. But the current last book in the Chestnut Spring series. This came out a while ago, but I finally got down to reading it. Ended up 3-starring it. This wasn't my favorite age gap romance, but like, at least not in like an inappropriate way where the guy's been in love with her since she was like a teenager. But it is age gap romance. The main male character, Beau, went through a lot of trauma in the military and is dealing with a lot of issues of PTSD. And for as much as that being like his personality of his character, I feel like played into the book in 0 ways. Like, he could have just been a soldier that came home. They didn't need to add the PTSD thing because I feel like it didn't matter to the storyline at all. Like, there was no, I went to therapy and got over my PTSD. It was just, I'm the big scary army guy, and he could have been that without the whole, I have nightmares in the middle of the night thing. Like, I feel like the PTSD was just made so you could have the nightmare trope, and I feel like that was kind of a cop-out. I was really hoping that there was going to be some sort of like healthy resolution to his PTSD issues, and there wasn't. I feel like it was used as a plot point and nothing else, which I didn't super like. I wasn't the biggest fan of the female love interest compared to the other ones in the book. I don't know, this book just kind of felt, it was the last book in the series, all the other brothers had gotten a book, everybody wanted this brother, and she was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna write it. Like, it didn't feel like she really put a lot of effort into this book compared to the last ones. I 3-starred it, I read it, it was nothing great, it wasn't bad, it wasn't awesome. But yeah, in general, I like the Chestnut Swing series, just this one, I was expecting more from it than what it gave. And then last but not least, I read the first 2 books in Percy Jackson's. I read The Lightning Thief and The Sea of Monsters. I 4-starred both of them. I have never read Percy Jackson. I don't know when it came out versus where I was in school, but I kind of missed it. I think it was like a little young for where I was in school when it came out. It missed me. It was one of the big popular series that I just never read. The Percy Jackson TV show came out. Some people, including myself, are kind of boycotting Disney right now. And I hadn't read the books yet, so I was like, oh, I'm just gonna read the books. And if things change, maybe later down the line, I will watch the show. But I read the first 2 books, I 4-starred them. Would I have been in love with these when they first came out and if I was in middle school? Probably 100%. Me reading them at 24 and not having the nostalgia for it, was it very YA and like very quick to read and not super great? Yeah, but like I still liked them. I 4-starred and they were still really good. I feel like I haven't, and a lot of people haven't read a Greek mythology book that does it the way Percy Jackson does. A lot of Greek mythology is just retellings. I really liked this aspect of like modernizing it. So I'm really interested in finishing the series and seeing where it goes because it's really great so far, and hopefully things get better and I'm in a place where I feel comfortable supporting Disney and watching their shows. But yeah, I read those and I'm excited. That is everything that I read in December. I bare minimum finished my reading goal of 150 books. If you guys read any of the same books as me this year, let me know. I think next month, I want to do like a favorite and least favorite of everything that I read for 2023. If that's something specifically you want, let me know. Or if you want me to do any sort of like big wrap up of everything I read, let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I love and appreciate you so much. If you want to follow me anywhere on my social media, it is all down below, linked, all that jazz. As always, down below is my Pango books. If you want to buy any of these books, you can find them on there secondhand. It's a cheaper way of filling up your TBR. My Amazon is down below. You can send me any books I have picked out or send me your favorites and force me to read them. I hope you guys had an awesome holiday, whatever it is you celebrate, and continue to have an awesome holiday in the next coming days for New Year's. And I hope you have a new year. I will see you guys next year. I love you. And yeah, I'll see you next year. Bye.